Hello and welcome to another episode of No Such Thing as a Fish, a weekly podcast coming to you from the QI offices in Covent Garden. My name is Dan Schreiber. I'm sitting here with James Harkin, Andrew Hunter-Murray, and Anna Chazinski. And once again, we've gathered around the microphone, only this time, we've got a big announcement to make right at the top of this show. We are releasing our first ever book. We are right. Yeah, I forgot to mention that to you, actually.
Why am I the last to know everything in this office?
You're not involved.
So yeah, No Such Thing as a Fish. We're releasing a book. We've signed a deal, and the book is being released in November. If you're hearing these words, you can pre-order it now. Go to Amazon and click the button. It's a book that...
Click the button.
There's
Go to Amazon.com and click the button.
The button. It's on the front
There'll be a
page.
big button in the middle of the page saying, buy the fish book now.
I think what you want to do is go to qi.com/shop, and we're going to have a link there that you click on, which will take you to the page where you can pre-order the book. And it's going to be called The Book of the Year. And it's going to be about the year that's happening right now. And it's by us. Go to Amazon or go to qi.com/shop, and you'll be able to pre-order it.
Yeah, and it's just going to be packed with all the most interesting stories that we found from 2017. This is one that I want to get into the book. Mafia members in Sicily have been banned from becoming godfathers. So this is an archbishop who has said that at baptisms, if you are involved in the mafia, you are now not allowed to become a godfather.
Here's one that I've got. When they voted for the UK general election, there was only 13 MPs that didn't vote for it, and one of them did it because it was going to interfere with his honeymoon.
Okay, this is one that I'd like to get in. This is something that's been revealed in the last couple of weeks, and it's that a Norwegian slow TV show that follows migrating reindeer has had to be suspended after the reindeer stopped moving altogether.
I've got a fact that I'd like to get into the book.
Oh, yeah?
Which is that Jeremy Corbyn has won 7 elections for Parliamentary Beard of the Year.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, and it's practically unparalleled in modern history.
Is he the current reigning champ?
Is he the current Labour leader? Yeah, depending on when you're listening to this.
Is that what he spends all his time campaigning for then?
Yes,
He won the actual Beard of the Year quite a long time ago, I think.
Yeah, as opposed to the niche parliamentary Beard of the Year.
Yeah. I think that's like a qualifying round.
Hope I make the regionals. Yeah.
Well, he made Global Beard of the Year.
I think it's British Beard of the Year.
A British Beard of the Year, okay.
Yeah. He won. He is the reigning champion, yes. And he won, I think, with 64% of the vote last year, which is slightly more than he won that year's leadership contest with.
When is the next championship?
It'll be this year.
So in time, I meant month. Is it in time for our book?
I think it will be in time for the book, so we'll be able to announce whether he's won it a record 7th time.
Let's hope so, because if we had a book of news of 2017 and we weren't able to get in the results of Beard of the Year, it would just be a joke.
Sorry, I think you mean Parliamentary Beard of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. The book's going to be just packed with all that sort of stuff. And we thought we would spend this episode not telling you our most interesting fact that we've learned over the last 7 days, strictly from all of history, but we would pick something that we want to go into this book and pitch it to each other. So that's what we're going to do, starting with you, Andy.
My fact that I would like to get into the book is that ideas proposed for the US border wall include a trench full of nuclear waste, a one-way mirror, and 3 million hammocks next to each other.
What? 3 million hammocks?
Yeah. That is not so much a serious proposal, but...
No, because you could just go under them.
Or over them. Depending on how high up the tree they're tied.
So they're going to be trees along this border.
I think it's not a fixed proposal yet. I think you could plant the trees. You'd have to have something to attach the hammocks to.
Yeah.
Is the idea that you get to a hammock, it looks so comfortable, you lie down, have a nap, and you never make it across?
I think that's the idea, yeah.
Okay.
There is an artist whose name is Jennifer Meridian, who's proposed that one. She's proposed also a wall of pipe organs and a wall of lighthouses, thousands and thousands of lighthouses.
So this was a big push, wasn't it, for proposals to be sent in?
So they had a little 5-day window where you could submit your proposals, and then they're going to pick around 20 finalists in about a month or so, and they're going to build prototypes of their sections of the wall.
How are they going to build a prototype of the nuclear waste one? Just a little bit of depleted uranium.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I don't know. But the one-way mirror is a very interesting idea.
Incredible idea.
You can see Mexico from the USA, but they can't see you.
Yeah.
What's the point in that?
I have no idea.
You could still see someone approaching if they were going to try and climb the mirror.
And you don't know if you're approaching from the Mexican side, you don't know if anyone
if you're being
is
looked
watching.
at.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was just that the Mexicans go towards and go, oh no, it's just exactly like here, we might as well say.
And there are loads of proposals. One of them has a monorail going all the way along the top.
Oh, yeah, like a hyperloop, they're calling it, right?
Yeah, but it's a monorail.
Is it a monorail?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the difference between those two things?
Oh, one sounds super futuristic and the other sounds like
monorail,
a monorail.
Yeah. We've all seen that episode of The Simpsons.
I read the rules for the proposals.
Oh, yeah.
The idea of what the wall needs to withstand. It needs to withstand attacks from, here's the quote, sledgehammer, carjack, pickaxe, chisel, battery-operated impact tools, any kind of handheld tools. And not only does it have to sort of deal with the impact, but it should be able to deal with it for up to 4 hours. So specifically...
4 hours.
So it's,
4 hours of a sledgehammer. Meanwhile, there's some bloke next to you with a chisel.
It's like, why do you need to specify the chisel when you've also got the carjacker smashing into it for 4 hours, smashing cars into it?
We've made it carjack proof, but there's a chisel weakness, unfortunately.
it's like the Death Star. There's going to be just one little weak spot.
So it's a very stupid idea, obviously.
Yeah, and they want it ideally to be 30 foot tall, and so all the proposals had, so it's a 30-foot tall mirror, which is quite cool.
Wow.
He's become more flexible on the 30-foot thing.
Yes,
I think he's
yeah.
gone. He said anything over 18 feet might
80
be
feet,
okay.
yeah. One of the problems is that they obviously need to build the wall on their side of the land, on the American side of the land, but there's a lot of American landowners who have houses and property that go on the other side of these rivers and bits of land generally. So to build the wall, he's actually going to be sealing out a lot of Americans, and they're going to be stuck in Mexico unless they sell their land. So he's trying to buy the land back from them for the government. He knows there's going to be problems, so he's planning to effectively go into legal war with a lot of Americans over this.
So in 2006, they started building a load of walls at various points, and there were 442 lawsuits that were reviewed by CNN from the time, and 93 of them are still open.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And that was for a much shorter wall.
Was that because also in 2006, I think George Bush approved a virtual wall. I think we've talked about the idea of virtual walls
Yes.
before, but he worked on that. It was the project was shelved in 2011, and it cost $1 billion.
Sorry, is that $1 billion real dollars or $1 billion virtual dollars?
Sadly, I think it's real dollars. Yeah. But the thing about the virtual wall was that it worked by a system of sensors that were supposed to be able to tell when migrants were crossing the border. But apparently it was really ineffective. In windy conditions, it mistook trees and plants for people. It was constantly thinking that animals crossing the border represented suspicious activity.
Right.
Yeah.
One person has proposed leaving a 4-inch gap at the bottom of the wall so that little animals can cross.
That's a good idea.
Isn't that, the one problem is that there are 111 species which cross the area currently proposed for the wall,
Right.
and so lots of them will, struggle to mate and breed and live a fulfilling life.
I wonder if all the animals will then evolve to be 4 inches tall, like tiny buffaloes going over the range. I've got an idea. What about this? You kind of make a very slight incline from about 2 miles out, and it just gets more and more inclined, and then on the Mexican side it's a sheer drop. Do you know what I mean? Like a cliff. So from the American side it just looks like a normal bit of
Landscape.
So it's like a ha-ha in an English country garden.
exactly like that, yeah.
Well, that's a bit like the apparent border between North and South Korea, right?
Really?
Which I didn't know about. North Korea claims there's a wall dividing it from South Korea, and that the US and South Korea built this wall a few decades ago during the Cold War. And they say on their side it's got like little crenellations where guns are, and it's got checkpoints along it, and it's this big wall. And then it says on the other side, on the South Korea side, it's just covered in turf and grass, and so nobody knows that it's there from the other side. And the US and South Korea totally deny that they ever built this wall. But there's evidence. Someone did a documentary, I think, where they claim to be showing pictures. So we've got no idea if North Korea is divided from South Korea by a wall or not.
Well, I saw a photo of, because there are doors on the border where the North Koreans and South Koreans have police, and they open up to either let people in. And when they open up the door, if it's a police officer opening the door on the South Korean side, the rule is that another South Korean officer has to be holding onto them because they might be pulled through by the North Koreans. There's photos you can see online where they're like holding like by the arm another South Korean police officer opening a door.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's so funny. Do you know that the first ever demarcation between America and Mexico, when they first decided to do it, they just drew a line.
Really?
Yeah.
Drew it.
Just drew a line on the
Like-
floor.
What, like a hook?
A bit like
one.
You know, like in old sitcoms where you would draw a line around half of the house and
Yeah.
you're allowed only on your side and the others.
Right.
What,
that's
with a marker pen?
I don't know what it was with. I guess it was just a line in the
Paint,
sand.
probably, right?
Some of it's a bit sandy.
Yeah. Well, that's true. And
You
then
can't paint sand.
You can't paint sand.
Well, you
can move the line, which is quite handy. Hey, our country looks a bit smaller today.
And then they just started making fences. And the reason they made fences because they didn't want Mexican animals to go into American territory because they had like diseases and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. So it wasn't
wow.
for people. And when they made it for people even, it wasn't to stop Mexicans from coming in. It was to stop Chinese immigrants from coming in.
Really?
Yeah.
So was that like start of the 20th century or something?
It was during the Depression, I think. So
All right, yeah, okay.
So last week, Congress approved spending for replacing existing fencing, which is different to building a new wall. There's a strong argument that this is never going to happen. So they approved spending to replace existing fencing along 20 miles, which is 1% of the border, and to add gates to existing barriers, apparently. So it'll be, I think, slightly more porous, the border, than before, because it'll have gates. But anyway, Sean Spicer got into a massive row with the press because he was saying, look at this great wall. And everyone said, hang on, that stuff was a fence when you described it in January. Like, literally exactly the same structure. You were calling it a fence. And he said, no, it's a wall. It's definitely a wall. And he got really touchy about it.
That's clever, though. It probably cost a lot less to just have a chat with the OED and bribe them to change the definition of the word wall.
To a line of paint in the sand.
But if you just do like they did with the North and South Korea thing and just say there's a wall there when there isn't a wall there, I don't think that's beyond Trump's...
You're right, he can do
It
it.
would be unbelievably cheap to do.
Yeah. All he has to do is say, hey guys, we did it. We made a wall. And everyone goes, there's no wall here. He's like, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
What are you on about? You're a wall.
There was a design that someone came up with in 2009, so well before Trump was even thinking about being a candidate, which was a barrier which is lined with burrito carts. So it's a proper wall and barrier,
Yeah.
but along the ground, like those, those desks you have to meet people in prisons, to visit them, so you can have a
Yeah.
bit of
Oh,
conversation with them.
Yeah.
So there's a barrier there which is permeable, you can see through it, and you can pass things through it.
Burritos.
And you can pass burritos through. And he
Well,
said,
who's passing to who?
I imagine you're selling burritos.
Probably
from
the burrito seller to the burrito buyer.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
But it can go
Good
both
point,
ways.
Good point.
Yeah, because money could go the other direction. couldn't it?
Exactly, or if you wanted to sell hot dogs in the other direction, you could do that.
Yeah, okay.
So it was an American professor called Ronald Rael, and he said the burrito wall accommodates for a food cart to be inserted into the wall. Seating is built into the wall, and food, conversation, or a binational game of footsie can occur across the border.
Wait a minute, so you can play footsie, so there must be, maybe that's that 4-inch gap. You can,
Yeah.
But there is an existing wall in various parts, of course, and over there they sometimes play volleyball.
No.
Or they
they?
have, historically they have, yeah. And they'll sometimes have poetry competitions, like rap battles.
Wow.
But volleyball, you wouldn't be able to see which way the ball was going until it was on your side of the wall, which makes it a much harder game.
That's why the Americans want a one-way mirror to win at volleyball.
No, really, it hasn't touched the ground over here.
Okay, it is time to move on to fact number 2, and that is James.
Okay, I think we might have some North Korean stuff in this book.
Oh, yeah.
In this book of 2017, very much in the news. And so here's my North Korea fact. North Korea's national airline, Air Koryo, owns 10 times more taxis than it owns aeroplanes.
Taxis.
Yeah. They only have 15 aeroplanes, and I found that they've recently branched out into taxis, and I found that they have about 150 taxis. And what we think might have happened is there's a load of sanctions, obviously, against North Korea, so they're not allowed to fly to as many places as they used to be, so they need to find other ways to make money. And one of the ways they're doing it is branching out into things like soda and cigarettes, and in this case, taxis.
And this is quite a famous airline, isn't it? Because they're famously rated 1 star. They're the only 1-star airline in the world.
Yeah.
But not for danger, for quality of service, which is important to emphasise. I think there's only been one fatal accident on Air Korea, and that was 1983.
That was a car crash.
That was at a time when the airline was called CAC. C-A-A-K, I suspect that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, it's perfectly safe. It's just the service is very bad.
Do they ever drag people off planes who've got a perfectly legal ticket? But the in-flight entertainment sounds like fun.
Oh yeah,
you get patriotic songs sung by the band Moranbong. And I looked into Moranbong a bit more, and he actually put them together, Kim Jong-un.
Did he? He's like the Simon Cowell of North Korea.
Yes.
Wow.
No, he put them together, and they are 20 members, and they're all young women, and they're all quite senior military ranks as well. So sometimes they perform in uniform, and sometimes they perform in miniskirts and high heels.
Oh, multi-talented.
Yeah.
You don't want to get the wrong costume when you're going to war, do you?
Although there was that military march in North Korea a couple of years ago which showed the female soldiers marching and they were all wearing really high heels. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
You've got to appreciate, because it's quite hard to walk in high heels, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can march in them, then they're good soldiers.
I think it's quite a good policy. You're right, because if you can do well in high heels, then you're definitely going to do okay in your trench boots.
But they've got songs, sorry to be obsessed with Moranbong, but the tracks they sing include "Let's Support Our Supreme Commander with Arms." We think of the Marshal day and night. The Marshal is Kim Jong-un. They also play the theme from Rocky and "My Way."
Really? But with the original lyrics, or
don't know.
So,
sorry, I feel like I went on an extended riff about Moranbong there.
No. So is it a solid 20 people, or are they sort of on a rotational?
No, they're solid. And then they disappeared for a while, and then they came back with no explanation.
take that. So a lot of the news with North Korea has been their missile tests.
Yeah.
And their most advanced missile is the Musudan. That's the Musudan, not the Musu, Dan. It's the Musudan. And they've done 8 attempts, and it's failed 6 times. Okay? So that's a 75% failure, which is a worse failure percentage than Sunderland have had this year. Sunderland have failed to win 67% of their Premier League matches, and they're bottom of the league.
Wow. And I believe Donald Trump has actually dispatched a fleet to Sunderland.
If Sunderland start doing well, should we be concerned?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
So the weapon that the US would use if they were going to launch a strike on North Korea's nuclear facilities is this thing called a MOP, which stands for Massive Ordnance Penetrator. It is a 30,000-pound bomb, and it can smash through 200 feet of earth or 60 feet of concrete before it explodes.
God.
What,
60
before it explodes?
60 feet of concrete.
How does it do that?
God knows.
It's what I mean. Is it just big and it's heavy, or is it got a drill on the front?
It's a bit like, do you know when you're drilling underground and you get a pocket of air and it fires you?
I didn't want to say it, but listeners of a previous episode will notice a similar sounding bit of bullshit from Anna.
It's using that same technology, Dan, but in reverse.
What it is, Dan, actually, it's got a little chisel on the front of it.
I just want to say, I've had multiple people write in and confirm that story was true about the guy being sucked through the earth, and this one is also true.
Through the earth.
This one's blown through the earth, not sucked, but it's the same general event.
Does it have an explosive as it hits the earth, which is a sort of first explosive, and then as soon as it's lower, then it has a...
I don't actually know how the technology works. That's a really good idea, though. So a mini explosion.
Yeah.
I thought it was more like a drill, like it dives down so hard into the earth it just penetrates.
60
feet of concrete. 200 feet of earth.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sounds like something
That's a hill. It could get through a hill.
Yeah. That's mad. Remember that I said that if you cornered a badger on the street, that it could...
Sorry? I don't remember this, Dan. So hang on, you're in a street and you've cornered a badger. Is it a street corner? Just to check.
Yeah, I guess it's a street corner.
You're in a cul-de-sac.
In a cul-de-sac,
with a badger.
and the badger doesn't know where to go. It is a concrete street. The claws of a badger are so sharp that it can grind its way through the concrete floor.
So you're suggesting
to
they
get
put
away
a
from
badger
you.
on the end of this bomb, and then it drills down really
Or just
hard.
badger claws, so it just slices through the ground.
There are also plants that can go through concrete, aren't there? Like you can get weeds and you can get fungi and stuff that can actually grow through concrete. So if you weren't bothered about how long it took,
That's true.
you could put a plant on the end of your bum, and then when it lands, it would have to be a negative geotropic plant because it's digging downwards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to be on with roots that are more than 60 feet long.
This year, a guy called Kwang Song-han became the first North Korean to ever score in Serie A in Italy, which is the top league in Italy. So he scored against the goalkeeper who he beat was Joe Hart, the England #1 goalkeeper.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not the one who was fired for eating a pie.
He's not England's goalkeeper now. He's Sutton United's goalkeeper.
Sorry, I'm confusing Sutton United and England.
There's a fact that I hope makes it into the book, which James found about that goalkeeper who got fired for eating the pie. Do you remember it?
He got a new job, didn't he? But I can't remember what it was.
His first job after it was that he was a food taster for
A Tex-Mex restaurant.
Tex-Mex restaurant.
Nice.
Yeah. Post being goalie for Sutton.
Anyway, so it's quite good that England's goalkeeper is the first goalkeeper ever to let in a goal from a North Korean in Serie A.
Maybe they might spare us when they sweep to power. In gratitude for that.
They were also actually, speaking of North Korean sport, on the nuclear testing site, their main nuclear testing site, which is just outside Pyongyang. I think a US satellite the week before last spotted a volleyball game being played.
Really?
So that's nice that these guys are having fun in their off time. Yeah, right on the site.
Are you sure that wasn't by the border wall that you were talking about between South and North?
There is no wall, though.
Oh, there is no wall. Well, I think if volleyball's going on, there is a fucking wall.
It's a wall on one side and then a 2-mile gradual decrease on the other.
So you hit the ball over the wall, and then it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, and you have to walk 2 miles to collect it.
Yeah. I got a couple of things about just general airline news from around the world. Singapore Airlines are flying now, not using your classic air fuel, but cooking oil. They're flying using cooking oil. Yeah, they are. So this is a thing that they are trying to reduce aviation emissions, and they've launched this thing. It's called the Green Package, and it's powered in part by sustainable biofuel, which is used from cooking oil. So if you're ever flying Singapore Airlines, there might be a moment where
which I never will be from now on. Sorry to be a fossil fuel stick in the mud, but...
I'd do it. Is it extra virgin, or are we talking sunflower oil?
Oh, I
Do we
don't
know?
yeah, no, not sure.
Because you only want the high quality stuff, I think.
true.
if you-
Yeah.
Do you remember there was that bus was it Bristol that was poo powered?
Yes.
It
yeah.
was going to be running on...
Would you rather travel on a poo powered plane or an extra virgin olive oil powered plane?
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Given the choice...
As long as they both work, it doesn't really affect your flight, does it?
It might do.
Do you not think if the fumes could seep up through the carpet, you'd certainly rather the oil?
But yeah, I rarely go on aeroplanes and think, I can just smell kerosene the whole way.
No, but you do get the smell of it on the runway, don't you? When you're crossing from the terminal building, sometimes to go into the plane, you can smell a bit of fuel there.
Oh, yeah.
So if it stank of poo, I probably would go with the cooking oil.
Whereas, delicious cooking oil.
Yeah.
Cool.
I got another one, which is, I'd love to get this in the book. It's my favorite character that I discovered in the last year or so. It's the Iraqi transport minister. So airplane news from him that happened in the last month is that while flying in a plane, as a passenger, with 200 other passengers on board, he went to the cockpit and said, I would like to land the plane. And they said, okay, I guess we have to let you. You're the Iraqi transport minister. He's quite a powerful guy. And
You could just do that.
Was it an Iraqi plane?
Yeah. It was,
Okay.
yeah. No, it wasn't like on British Airways covered into...
Imagine if John Prescott, during the new Labour government, had tried to land a plane.
I've done a poo and I'd like it to power this plane.
So apparently they let him take control of the planes to land the plane, and they said it was almost fatal. But fortunately, the captain managed to get back into the controls in time in order to stop them
Why
from
did
dying.
he let him? I'm sorry, he's the transport minister. He's an important guy. You don't
Maybe,
say yes.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's a massive deal. So, okay, this is a quote from the pilot.
I know.
When you're on a plane, you don't go, right, who's the most important person here? Well, I'm actually the mayor of Swindon. Okay, you can land it.
This is a quote from the pilot post the event. The minister did not do a good job. He slammed the front of the plane into the ground.
All Iraqi planes in future will have to have a fake cockpit, basically, if the minister turns up.
Yeah. Okay, it is time to move on to fact number 3, and that is my fact, which I am pitching to get into the book, and that fact is that all NASA astronauts are wearing hand-me-downs. Now,
When a bigger astronaut,
Yes.
when they grow up enough to fit into the suit. Is
yeah,
that right?
exactly. No, this is a new story that's just come out, and that's a fact that sort of emerged from it. It's that NASA has suddenly realized that of all the functioning spacesuits that they have for their astronauts to do their when they go outside of the International Space Station, they're running out because they only made a batch of them, and they haven't made any more. So they're really running low on them, and every time a new astronaut goes up, they're basically using a hand-me-down. They're using a previously used astronaut suit, spacesuit, and so they've got, I think, 17 more missions, and let's say the backpack alone, that's part of the suit, they've only got 11 of those that are left that are functional. Whoa. And they don't think they're going to survive in order to finish all of the missions, and so they've got more missions than they have suits, basically, at this point.
I think if you don't have the suit, don't go on the mission. I mean...
Well, we booked it in now.
It'd be a shame to cancel.
Last year, NASA had what they called, very tweedy, a poop challenge, which was asking for designs to go to the toilet in your spacesuit, but it had to be a hands-free, in-suit toilet device,
Right.
which could work for up to 6 days. The main winner, and I don't have the full details, but it was a small crotch-based airlock. Okay?
To poo through.
Well, I don't think that's the answer. But you could apparently stick things in through it, which I do not understand either.
I see what it is. So it sort of hangs off your bum, and then presumably you press a button and it opens it, and you poo into it, and then you press a button.
Wait, no,
and
but
it
it's on the
closes
crotch. It's on the crotch.
It's not. It's a bit like a burrito wagon. What happens is the poo goes in one side like a burrito and then closes up.
And then who pushes the
someone
money
opens
through?
the other side and then takes a burrito out.
Not eating at your Mexican restaurant.
Well, the Sutton United goalkeeper said it was very nice.
Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't fully understand the designs of the winner, but there were 3 winners. One was that one. The second place was... it's just words here. An air push urinary girdle. I don't know. The third place was kind of an external catheter thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, on airlocks, non-feces based, the new spacesuit that they're designing now and that they're hoping to get out before they have to cancel all these missions is going to cost $4.4 million. And one of the most important innovations on it is that it has got what's called a suit plate interface port, which basically means that you don't have to go through an airlock anymore to leave the spaceship because you just dock into your suit. So the suit is like docked to the outside of the spaceship, and then you just walk into your suit.
No.
And then you don't have to like go through, because usually you have to go through an airlock, dock onto the vehicle, go through an airlock, and then go into a space station or whatever.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Cool.
That's like, why don't you change into your scuba gear underwater? If something goes wrong, if anything goes wrong in space and you're exposed to the vacuum of space, you're dead in seconds.
You'd have a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Come on, Dan.
What?
Chill out.
A couple of minutes to put. They're really hard. It takes them about 45 minutes to put those suits on.
Is the spacesuit part of the outside of the ship, though?
No, so I don't think it's like you put it on and then there's just a big hole in the ship as you leave. No, whoops.
But does a barrier close behind the suit?
I'm not sure. So this is what the woman said who designed them. She said it allows astronauts to enter and exit the outfit by docking with the vehicle. So I'm not sure exactly how it would work, but I'm sure they've worked out a way of sealing the vehicle behind them.
I think that's pretty cool.
You would hope. Does sound cool.
Yeah.
I was reading a thing about, in the news of the last few weeks, Peggy Whitson, who is the commander of the International Space Station, she broke the record for the longest time an American has been in space. She already holds a number of other records for being in space, and she's commanding it for the second time as well. And she's an amazing person, and they did a broadcast between the International Space Station and the White House, the Oval Office. So Trump and Ivanka and another astronaut.
Why was Ivanka there?
She's everywhere. Why?
She's pretty important. She was going to fly the thing.
So there was a chat that was going on between them, and you could see both at the same time. And there was this moment which they're a bit confused about, and they're not sure if Trump was joking. They were talking about, he said, when are we going to get to Mars? And Peggy said, well, you know, we're doing all these amazing bits of research up here and down on Earth, and we think by 2030s we could start getting to it. And he said, no, I think we need to do it in my first term. It'd be disappointing if it's in my second term, but that's still okay. And so she was like, but then people at NASA are like, was that like a JFK moment? Did he mean that? Do we have to get to Mars in 3 years? So yeah, I don't know, but
we've got nothing to wear.
It was a weird broadcast because at points I watched most of it. Trump just suddenly gets bored. He just looks quite bored talking to astronauts in space, and he also looks like he's thinking, I wonder what studio in Hollywood they're filming this in. Like, I imagine he's a moon landing denier, and he just thinks, yeah, you're not there, are you? I know about you guys.
They actually discussed the urine thing, didn't they? He asked about how you wee.
Wait, the Trump urine thing or the astronaut urine thing?
He actually might have lied in his answer, given that, because they discussed the astronaut urine thing. They avoided the Trump urine thing, actually, and about the recycling the urine. So they drink recycled urine when they're up in space. And she said to him, "It's really not as bad as it sounds." And he said, "Well, that's good. Glad to hear it. Better you than me."
So one of the problems is that with these suits, the ones that are breaking. So one of the ones that broke not too long ago, it started letting the water supply in, and the astronaut potentially could have drowned inside his own suit. They had to get immediately back into the International Space Station and take all the stuff off. So that's one of the big problems, is as soon as something goes wrong inside the suit, taking the astronaut out of the suit in time to save them, it does take a super long time.
I'm really surprised it takes so long to make them. Yeah. You would think, like, okay, we need one before 2024. It can't be beyond the realm of man to be able to do that.
That's true.
If you have £1 million, you would think you'd be able to do it. I don't know. But
from Kennedy announcing we're going to go to the moon to getting to the moon was about 9 years. We're now saying that it'll take us roughly that long to make a suit.
Well, we're going to Mars in 3 years, so
that's true.
So no one's going to have any suits on.
Mars mission ends in immediate disaster.
No one could have foreseen as they stepped out. Okay,
it is time for our final fact of the show, and that is Jasinski.
Yes, my fact that I would like to get into the news book is that as of last week, whenever state media in Tajikistan mentions the president, they now legally have to refer to him by his full title, which is the founder of peace and national unity, leader of the nation, president of the Republic of Tajikistan, His Excellency Emomali Rahman. And they have to do that every time they mention him.
Wow. Can they cough after it and say, wanker?
So I think this might be the only news book that comes out this year that has a full section on Tajikistan.
Yep. So get it for that.
Wow.
Apparently it takes 15 seconds for it to scroll along the screen on the news, which is like if you're trying to show a news bulletin, the president's announced, 15 seconds is a long time to have one name scrolling for.
Yeah.
But apparently you're allowed to say leader of the nation. Like if it's really a short bulletin or something, you're allowed to kind of...
That's nice. That's nicely informal, isn't it? Please, just call me leader of the nation.
Well, they've speculated. I think this is something the BBC picked up, and it was reported by Radio Azadlik, and it was the director of Tajik State Radio who made the announcement, and he just said the mandatory use of the full title is required by law, and didn't elaborate. So I think we're still just speculating, going, I think you're probably okay if you say leader of the nation sometimes.
We'll only find out when someone tries it.
Yep.
So Emomali Rahman, the president of Tajikistan, has been...
Say his full name, mate.
Sorry, the
That's
founder of
respect.
peace and national unity. He is a very undemocratic guy. As in May last year, he made people vote over whether he should be president for life. He won, remarkably.
That's not undemocratic.
No, you're right.
Free
He
and
won
fair voting.
94.5% of the vote.
Well, they like him.
Yeah, they'd better. Because there's a lot of human rights repression, a lot of torture and things like this. And,
They're
imprisonment.
149th out of 180 on the free press listing.
Wow.
So pretty low down.
Yeah. And he's passed a law which gives him immunity from all criminal charges for life, which is exactly the sort of thing that you normal, honest guys always tend to do. Yeah.
He does. So he's banned a few things generally that I've just got to... obviously, he's done that if he's making news outlets call him by that full name. One thing he's blocked is YouTube. YouTube not allowed there anymore, mainly because of a video that went online of him dancing drunkenly at a wedding and singing karaoke really badly. Yeah, so he said, okay, this needs
So
to...
he's banned the whole website.
YouTube, yes, yeah.
Come on, we all would do
Yeah,
that.
I would. If I had the power, there'd be no Facebook, no YouTube, pretty much nothing.
No, it's not all banning things that he does. We should say he has taken a lot of positive steps too. So police in Tajikistan have been told that they have to go to the theatre once a month, but on different days, so there isn't one incredibly large audience on one day. I don't know how they coordinate all going on different days.
If they all go on the same day, there's going to be no police around.
That's true.
Yeah.
Apart from in that one theatre. Imagine your bad luck if you go to rob that theatre. I could have literally robbed anywhere else in the country.
But it's meant to be to help their spiritual and moral awareness. And there is a photo going with the news story of these incredibly bored-looking men in suits.
Yeah.
It's just because, though, the Interior Minister, who's called Ramazan Rahimzoda, just went to the theatre last month and said, oh my God, this is really fun, and liked it. And so said, I think everyone should do it. He just went, thought it was good, thought they should do it too. I quite like that. Imagine if everything Theresa May did and enjoyed, we all then had to do.
Would that be good?
Oh, we're all going fox hunting. Come on, guys.
Another thing that he has put in place as a ban is that so everywhere in Tajikistan there are pictures of him, giant billboard pictures of him, and he's ordered that in all of the smaller towns and cities, any mayor or anyone who's in the position of power there has to take down the picture if they're in it with him, because he doesn't want to be associated with giving them the publicity of friendship on... Yeah, so he said, and the way that they did it was they called up all the local officials on the phone, and they said, "Hi, are you the local official?" "Yes, I am. I have a message here from the president." And then they played a voice recording of him down the phone line to them, where he says, "You are no longer allowed to have my photo up if you're in the photo with me." And so it's an audio message that they played down the phone to each person that they called up.
Is embarrassing.
That's so weird.
It's a bit like when you split up with your ex, but you kind of like the photos, so you kind of get rid of them from the photo. Is it like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or when you call up their best friend and you play a recording of yourself down the phone at them saying, I want my stereo back, I want the Careless Whisper CD. Wow. Well, it's like that. Do you remember during the coup in Turkey? President Erdogan appeared on TV, but it wasn't him appearing on TV. It was someone holding up a phone on the camera while they were mid-Skyping him.
Yeah.
That's not actually one other thing that will probably go in the book is Mélenchon, just speaking of people appearing in weird technological ways. Mélenchon, who was voted out of the French election, the first round, but was the very left-wing candidate, was appearing by hologram, so he was appearing in 7 or 8 states at once. But it wasn't even a hologram, I found out. It was what was it called?
Pepper's Ghost.
It was called Pepper's Ghost, which is a cooler name than hologram.
So he's like Tupac.
Yeah.
Exactly. Tupac did the same thing, and it basically means you appear in a similar way, but it's 2-dimensional, whereas a hologram is 3-dimensional.
But it's basically a hologram.
It's not a hologram.
Yeah, but
It looks like one, doesn't it?
You understand what I'm saying when I say it's basically that.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying when I say monorail, but it's a hyperloop.
Yeah, I think we understand each other.
I just know it's got very tense. I'm just saying maybe if he used a hologram, he might have got to the second round.
Mélenchon did campaign partly via computer game.
What he was?
What?
What like in?
He infiltrated Diddy Kong Racing.
Like in
games.
Minecraft.
No, his supporters. He was quite tech savvy. It didn't do him as much good as it could have done, but his supporters developed a computer game called Fiscal Combat. With the sort of K, like in Mortal Kombat, and you played Mélenchon in it, and you had to go around finding businessmen and then shaking them up and down. And as you shook them up and down, their coins flew out of their pockets, and you were taking tax from the wealthy.
Doesn't sound fun to me.
I've played it. It is quite fun.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's exactly that 2D style. It's pretty good.
I mean, James, you're the only person left alive still playing Pokemon Go, so I don't know if you're a good arbiter of what is fun.
Well, I'm going to be trying to get some Pokemon Go facts into this book.
We were almost late, just for the listeners, we were almost late to the meeting for our book deal because we thought James was in charge of the Google Maps leading us the way to the building, when in fact we were following a man chasing down Pokemon.
Well, we got the book deal and I got an Onyx.
Something about elections in Tajikistan, actually, which is quite interesting. You can run for opposition, but there was no real proper opposition in the last election. The closest person who came to being a proper opponent was someone called Oynahol Bobazarova, which is a cool name. So what you have to do to be eligible to run as a candidate for election in Tajikistan is you need to get 210,000 signatures to be eligible to run. So let's just put this in context to remind you how the British system works. In the UK, you need to get 10 signatures to be a candidate for election. Yeah, just 10 signatures from your constituency.
Wow.
In the US, if you want to run for Senate, you need between 1 and 2,000, I think, in most places.
Between 1,000 and 2,000, or between 1 and 2,000.
It's got to be over 1,000.
Right, okay.
And in Tajikistan, which only has a population of 8 million, you need to get 1 in 40 people in the country to sign saying that you should be a candidate. And she still managed to get 202,000.
And she was 8,000
short.
Oh my god.
That is nuts.
I think I'd forge a few.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're right.
Duplicate a few.
I think
it
would.
might get you in trouble with this guy. But
He's not going to check them all,
He'd
is
take
he?
a lenient view of it, I'm sure.
Isn't that's such a slap in the
that
face,
is
though?
incredible.
And she's a super cool woman. Look her up. She won an award given by Michelle Obama last year or the year before, like most influential good women in the world or something.
Oh, really?
But yeah, hard luck on her.
Yeah.
Tajikistan has the cheapest pint of beer in the world that you can buy. Yeah.
Really?
How much is it?
30p per pint.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, 30p. That's quite
30p,
good.
and I think the second cheapest is 36p, which is made by Bhutanese monks. So that's the next cheapest
that
one.
right?
I think so.
I drunk beer in Bhutan, and I remember it being quite expensive.
Well, you got overcharged, mate. You funded the whole night.
They saw you coming, didn't they?
I'm pretty sure it was expensive, actually. Maybe only locals.
£6 for a pint. Yeah, sorry.
We have to bring it in from Tajikistan.
Another thing Tajikistan has, which is kind of cool, is the world's most dangerous tunnel.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. It does
sounds
sound
awesome.
It sounds kind of cool, I'd say.
I did say kind of.
In what way, and who decides that it's the most dangerous?
I think just the general public. So it's nicknamed Death Tunnel, I think. And the reason it was built in, I think it started being built in 2007. And the reason it was built was because before that, you couldn't drive from north to south Tajikistan without having to cut through Uzbekistan. And Uzbekistan is not very friendly to Tajikistan a lot. So actually quite a dangerous trip if you had to go visit your mum in the north to go there. So they built this tunnel. It's 5 kilometres long. And it opened up a few years ago, but it had no lighting, so it's pitch dark in there. It's got massive potholes. It has falling rocks all over the place, and you actually have to sign a form before you go into the tunnel saying that you understand the danger of driving through this tunnel, of being hit by falling rocks or something. It's got no ventilation at all. Oh, I think it's got maybe one fan right in the middle, and so that means that it's filled with exhaust fumes, so visibility is only a few feet. And this does mean that if you break down, for instance, in the middle of it, you will get carbon monoxide poisoning within a very short amount of time. So people who are driving through this tunnel say they get dizzy and nauseous as they do it because it's so blocked up with carbon monoxide. But it is a great way to get from north to south Tajikistan.
How long is it? Sorry.
5 kilometres.
5 kilometres. That is quite a long way.
It's a long way.
It's a long way to hold your breath. Yeah.
I think they are improving it. There was a thing last year when they said
They've got an extra fan.
Yeah, they're improving it. You no longer have to sign the form.
Okay, that's it. That is all of the potential facts that are going to be making it into the book. Again, it comes out in November. Do go to Amazon right now and click the big button on the front page. Or go to
Amazon and look up the Book of the Year by No Such Thing as a Fish, or go to qi.com/shop.
That's right, and it's going to contain everything from all the scientific discoveries that have happened this year through to stuff like Tajikistan presidents, to Trump's wall, Trump generally, North Korea, Kim Jong-un. We're all on our Twitter accounts. I'm on @Schreiberland, James
@Eggshaped,
Andy
@AndrewHunterM,
and Chazinski.
You can email podcast@qi.com.
Or you can go to our website, nosuchthingasafish.com. We've got all of our previous episodes. We have all of our tour tickets that are available up there. We're going on tour in November. We're not only going to record a show, but we're going to be bringing our book with us, the book that you can buy, the Book of the Year. Go to Amazon now or our website. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
You think we mentioned the book enough?